Welcome back to another video on the channel, you guys. It is me, Justin, here. Very excited to be bringing you guys yet again another mock draft on this channel, the 2024 Detroit Lions mock draft 1.0. In this one, I'm just going to be sticking and picking at 29. I do plan on doing a 2.0 and a 3.0, and then in the 3.0, kind of planning on maybe doing a trade up there for a big time corner, a big time D lineman or something. But yeah, I mean, we'll just start it up here, start the sim, kind of just, see how the board falls to us at 29 and kind of just see what we can do. Looking at it here, there is a couple guys that I really like. I do really like Jerzon Newton. I'm just not sure if he makes it to 29 in real life. If he does, that'd be awesome. I do feel like we really, really, really need D-line help. But you could say the same thing about the corner position, which is usually what I go with when I do mock drafts, in my free time and whatnot. And there is two corners here that I primarily have my eye on, which is Ennis Rakestraw and TJ Tampa. I really like Rakestraw, but I just feel like he's a little small. I do think, him and TJ Tampa are kind of, two different players. I think TJ is just a little bit more patient. He's taller. He's like 6'2", which is, obviously can be a strength, especially because Cam Sutton's only like 5'11", and he had an abysmal second half of the season last year. Granted, I do think he started off the season very well. He just, had some very tough matchups there in the second half of the season. And I don't think, that he would be a bad corner two, a bad corner three, obviously. This mock draft is assuming that we haven't traded for L'Jarius Sneed quite yet, which honestly I would welcome with open arms. Sneed or Lattimore, that would be awesome. And I don't even think that it would cost us a first round pick. Maybe for Sneed, maybe like a first and a fifth or something. But honestly, the mock trades that I've kind of been seeing has been like a second and then, a third or a fourth. But let's go ahead, take our pick here, and I am going to switch it up here. Usually, I do go Rakestraw kind of just when I'm, like I said, just doing mocks in my free time. But I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to go TJ Tampa. I feel like he's a good scheme fit, taller corner, very patient, like I said. And he can, put some hits on dudes, which is, very important. It's definitely something that Campbell and Aaron Glenn really like. And looking here, there is a guy that I do have my eye on, and that is Braden Fisk. This guy just tore up the combine. Mel Kiper and everyone else was saying that he just did an amazing job at the Senior Bowl as well. Obviously, a part of that great Florida State defense. Them dudes produce dogs year in and year out in the NFL draft, whether it's corner, safety, D lineman. They always have, just solidified good defensive players. And it's definitely a guy that I have my eye on right now. A guy that I could actually see maybe sneaking into the first round, with the combine results. Obviously, every year we kind of see that, there's a couple guys, 2-3 guys every year that, really make their name at the NFL combine and really, up their draft stock. So I am going to go with Braden Fisk here. I think that we need someone or at least two people in the offseason on this D-line. We got to help Hutch out. He's got to have somebody on the opposite side. I love James Houston, but there's just no one else besides Houston on the edge. McNeil is – I think McNeil had a great year last year. I think he really took a step up. I can confidently say I think he's, top 15 to 17 D tackle in the league. But, you can just never get enough of him. You can never get enough of the linemen, and that's why I went with Fisk there. I think this guy, he projects good in the NFL, and, he could really, really be a dog there on the interior. At pick 73 here, it's tough because there is a couple ways that we can go. I do see Christian Haynes here out of UConn, who's great guard. I do see Cedric Van Pran, as well, and he primarily plays a center position. But with Ragnow looking like he may be on the brink of retirement, within the next, 1 to 2 to 3 years. There was some rumblings this year about it, but I didn't really buy into it too much. I do think he wants to play at least a couple more years of winning football. Obviously, with his career, he hasn't seen much of it. So I think he would like to, kind of get a taste of that. So just looking at the board here, there's a couple guys that I feel like I can get at 92 as well. We kind of pick, pretty close. We have 2 rounders here. And a guy that I do like here is Cedric Van Pran. Geez, I cannot say his name. Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia. Primarily plays the center position, but I do think that he could slide over to guard if need be. Obviously, Glasgow and Jackson are both free agents. I think, best case scenario, we bring both of them back, and, Jackson takes a little bit more money than we expect him to. And then, Glasgow, I think, is going to come back, honestly, either way. I think the scenario is either we bring both of them back or we bring Glasgow back. I'm not sure if we only bring Jonah back, just because I feel like Glasgow does want to be here. And obviously, I think that Jonah does too, but he's a younger guy coming off. He had a Pro Bowl season a couple of years ago, and this is a guy that he really does have a lot of talent. He just needs to stay healthy. So what we're gonna do in case one of them doesn't come back is we are gonna go with Cedric Van Pran there out of Georgia. Just kind of beef up the O line. Keep a strength to strength. That's kind of what I am seeing with Holmes and Campbell. That's what they like to do. They like to keep strengths strong, and they like to keep this offensive line, upright. It's one of the defining, characteristics of this team, I would say. So I can't be mad at going with, an offensive lineman here within the first 3 rounds. At pick 92, I do want to kind of focus on the defensive end, with this pick. I think we just need, we need depth on the defensive end pretty much everywhere, I'd say, but safety. I think the nickel position is pretty much locked up with Brian Branch. If he started coming along really well last year, that kind of came out of nowhere, and that was awesome to see. Just a guy, what was he, 3rd round pick a couple years back, and he really just came along and showed us, what he could do. That's why I'm kind of iffy on if we bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I just don't know, how much money he's going to want. Obviously, coming off a torn pec, he had a pretty major injury there. And this, I mean, he don't get me wrong, I love CJ. I don't get the hate for CJ. To me, I'm a competitive sports player. Whenever I've played, anything in my life, whether that's baseball, basketball, growing up, anything. I like the intensity that he brings. But if we didn't bring him back, I would totally understand it. It would kind of just be a money thing. It'd be a youth move. And I really just wouldn't be mad at it. But at pick 92, a guy that I really like here is Austin Booker out of Kansas, 6'5" edge rusher. I think this guy's got a lot of versatility, and he's got quickness. Obviously, taller edge. A guy opposite of Hutch is very, very essential to get, I think, in this offseason, whether it's Brian Burns, whether it's a Chop Robinson, a Darius Robinson, anyone that you can get, but you got to get somebody solidified opposite of Hutch. He needs help back there. He led the league in pressures. He looked amazing out there. But I mean, if you get somebody on the opposite end of him, he's going to look even better. I mean, I think I think we can all agree on that. You need help on the defensive end always. Back at it here in the 5th round, at 163. This is at a point where you can start double dipping on positions, whether that's corner, D lineman, edge. I mean, even if you want to go back to back, we've seen it a couple of years ago. But a guy that I really like here, and they have him listed as a safety, but I think he's actually going to be a corner in the NFL. And he played primarily corner at Florida State as well. And just another testament to that Florida State defense. I really like Renardo Green. I just don't see why he's so low on some people's draft boards. I just think he's excellent out there in coverage. He's a lengthier corner and a guy that, I'd really, really like to go get, especially in these later rounds here, just to, add solidified depth at the corner position. I think he's got all the instincts. He's a smart player. And I really enjoyed watching him and his tape there. We are going to go with Renardo Green, the corner out of Florida State, double dipping on corner. Obviously went Tampa in the 1st round, and then came back, got Renardo Green. Also got help on the D-line and the offensive line. And then Austin Booker there out of Kansas, who I really feel like can be a good pro. And here's round 6. This is where things kind of start getting interesting. This is a spot where I can see us going with receiver. A guy that I really like is Jalen Coker here out of Holy Cross. He tore it up at Holy Cross. He had 15 touchdowns, 1,100 something yards, and a guy that, he's a big bodier receiver, 6'3" there. Like I said, tore it up at Holy Cross, and I do feel that at least me as a fan, I would be comfortable going with receiver here in the sixth round. Obviously took Antoine Green there last year out of North Carolina. And obviously we have some question marks. Excuse me. Josh Reynolds may not be coming back, which to me, I'm kind of fine if Reynolds comes back, and I'm kind of fine if he doesn't. To me, I'm a guy. I'm a huge JMO fan. I'm a JMO truther. Check my Twitter. You'd know he retweeted me. Just saying. um, but I just really like JMO. I get it. Sometimes he can have some drop problems, but the speed is just you can't. You can't explain the speed. You just can't. He's the fastest guy on the field at all times. Him and Gibbs is just an awesome speed combination. I just really feel like we have to get JMO more involved in the offense. I see some people saying, "Oh, let's go out and get Tyler Boyd. Let's draft a receiver in the second, third round." I want to hand the reins to JMO. Obviously, St. Brown will be solidified as a wide receiver one for the next, 4 or 5 years, hopefully. Obviously, he's looking to get extended. He's going to get extended here pretty soon, which is very exciting. But having Jameson Williams as your wide receiver two would just be awesome. But with that being said, Josh Reynolds is a free agent. Jalen Coker's a 6'3", X type of receiver. If he can develop into that, and that's why we're going to take him there, just for depth, like I said, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, it's kind of what you're looking for. You're really just looking for guys to fill out the depth chart, see if they can make the team, during training camp and whatnot. So that's why we went with receiver there. And then seventh round, it's kind of just pick your poison. To me, I'm a guy that I want us to go get a kicker bad. We need a kicker. I've been saying it for the last 2 years, 3 years. It's the one thing that Holmes and Campbell just have not solidified on this team quite yet. You could say it about the cornerback. You could say it about this. You could say it about that. But we've never went into a season saying, okay, this guy is a solid kicker. This guy is a great kicker, so on and so forth. We need to get a kicker that we can rely on that can make 40 to 45-yard field goals, that can make 30 to 35-yard field goals. I get it. I get our offensive game plan. We go for it a lot. I love it. I love the aggressiveness. But at the same time, when you're 4th and 12, you're 4th and 13, and you're on the opposite 45-yard line and you need to make a 50-yarder, you need to make a 45-yarder, you need a kicker that can go out there and bang it. Even if it's twice a game, once a game, you need a guy that you can rely on. And that's why I like Joshua Carty out of Stanford. I like all these guys, to be honest. I like the kicker out of Alabama, but we are going to go with Carty here. He can compete with Michael Badgley. We did just bring the Money Badger back, but he's not something to write home about. And that's why I like going out, drafting a kicker, having yet again another kicker position. If you have to do it in the 6th round, do it in the 6th round. Go out, get a guy who can be a good pro. And this Carty kid out of Stanford, he can be. He is really good. So that'll do it. Sorry for going on my kicker rant there at the end, but it's something that I feel like we just need to stress, adding. We need a kicker bad, whether it's free agency or the draft. We need a guy. And yeah, that's my piece on it. So the mock draft is complete. We did go with TJ Tampa there in the first. In the second, went with Braden Fisk. Dude tore it up at the combine, tore it up at the Senior Bowl. Cedric Van Pran, center/guard out of Georgia, for the offensive line depth. As I explained, Ragnow's getting a little bit older, and it's never a bad idea to go out and grab depth for your offensive line, keep a strength to strength. Austin Booker there out of Kansas. Would have maybe liked to go grab an edge earlier in this draft, but I do feel like there is some solid free agent edges out there that we can, go out, sign on, not a huge deal, even though we do have the money. And then Renardo Green, cornerback out of Florida State there at 163, a guy that, I said my piece on it. I don't know how he's so low on people's draft boards. Go run back the tape. Go watch his games. This dude's a dog. He needs to go higher. And then Jalen Coker there. Dude tore it up at Holy Cross at 207. Obviously, receiver depth. And then Joshua Carty, the kicker out of Stanford there in the 7th round. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft here. Comment down below, like the video, and I just want to thank you guys all for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the 2.0.